Welcome.
Okay, so many of us know Connecticut and the entire country dealing with a mental health crisis. In the first year of the new 988 suicide and crisis hotline, saw a dramatic increase in calls for help.
Psychologist Dr. Laura Saunders is checking in with us this morning to make sure people know that there are resources out there if you need them. Good morning, Doc. How are you?
I am well. Hello, friends. Happy Thursday. Yes, and we are talking about the 988 system that's separate from 911, which is to be for medical emergencies. 988 is supposed to be for mental health emergencies.
So, Dr. Saunders, this is actually, the statistics are obviously alarming, but it's interesting what we're seeing with this trend, because we're talking about numbers from 2020 to 2023. So we were dealing with a pandemic, but this also sounds like an epidemic, correct?
That's a really great distinction there, Caitlin, because yes, what is unfolding, right? The pandemic created a lot of issues for people, physically and mentally and emotionally, but it continues to unfold. And so the more we talk about this, the more we talk about mental health resources, the more we talk about destigmatizing and being open about if you're having a problem and it's okay to ask for help. The more we talk about this, the better we can help people, and 988 is a critical resource.
Nobody likes to talk about suicide. It's like there's a big stigma surrounding this. But the statistics, as Kate was just saying, January 2020 to December 2023, almost 1,500 people killed themselves right here in Connecticut. That's staggering.
Right. It's honestly, it's heartbreaking. And the fact that children, even 10 to 19, are ending their lives also is equally as heartbreaking. So we absolutely want to talk about these issues. We want to provide help. So 988 as a resource can get you some initial help. Only 20% of the calls need what's called a mobile crisis, where a team goes out to the home to evaluate someone to see if they need an additional level of care. So that means, honestly, 80% of those calls are being managed by individuals who can provide some initial support, provide some validation, and then help them access some resources. So it really is a very valuable system.
So, Dr. Saunders, I mean, for people who might not know, because obviously this hotline is still fairly new, 988, the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline, it launched back in July of 2022. But what type of resources are being offered if people pick up the phone and dial?
That's a great question. So initially, it's meant to be kind of like an assessment or de-escalation. So there's trained individuals on the other line meant to assess what the issue is. And as I said, 80% of those calls only need that level of assessment. 20% need some additional support, a crisis team to go out to the home to do an in-person evaluation. And we are lucky here in Connecticut because only 1% of those calls are requiring a crisis response, where an ambulance or medical team is having to go immediately out to the home. And that's below the national average, which is 2%.
There's also such another great resource, the Jordan Porco Foundation, the website for Jordan. They're having a Scooper Sunday. I think it's this Sunday.
It is, yeah,
at
Duncan Park.
At Duncan Park. And such a great way to get involved, learn more about this crisis, and people can go and talk about this and have some ice cream at the same time. It's a great resource.
It's an absolutely great resource. I've worked with the Jordan Porco Foundation before. And again, that was a young person, that was a college-age person that ended their life. So these are absolute tragedies that we want to prevent. And sometimes prevention means access to talking to someone, letting someone know that you're in distress. It's being open. It's not feeling like you have to isolate and hide. We want to destigmatize these issues as much as possible.
All right. Well, we can't thank you enough, Doc. It's a very important topic. And again, the number is 988 if you are in trouble, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yes, it is.
All right. Thank you so much. We'll see you again next week. There's all the information. Just pick up the phone, 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline. just a great resource for people who might find themselves in some kind of trouble.
Yeah, and 211 here in Connecticut is obviously an informational resource for you. So if you need any additional information, then that's obviously another hotline for you. But 988 is Suicide and Crisis Lifeline.
All right, we're going to switch gears here and talk about produce. Olivia